French use oxtails in a braise. Now you might say, what is an oxtail? Well, it's not the tail of an ox, it's just the tail of a cow. So you can get them cut. These are about 1/4 of an inch. The thicker you get them cut, the longer it'll take to cook. You go all the way down to the tail. There's really not much you can do with that except add flavor to your sauce. The oxtails make a very rich, robust, beefy flavor because they're full of gelatin, collagen, and marrow, as you can see, and that's fat, and fat is flavor. There's marrow in those bones. I mean, that's a beautiful oxtail, and it's very, very tough. You have to braise these things, but they're also very, very flavorful. You can see the fat content, all the collagen tissue, which is just the tissue that's right there, that binds the meat together, it holds the meat together. Every human being, every animal, every mammal, anything that lives has collagen in it. It just holds it together. We have to make our garlic butter first, anchovy paste. When anybody asks for my recipes, as far as braising goes, I always leave the anchovies out. This is our seasoned flour. I'll get to that in a minute. The sauce. This particular recipe you can use for short ribs, beef short ribs. You can use this recipe for lamb shanks, lamb stew, pot roast, eye of round, anything that requires braising lamb or beef. What I'm doing is I have some flat leaf parsley from my garden. I'm taking the stems and I'm putting them in my sachet bag along with my fresh thyme from my garden. So we're doing garlic butter in a sachet bag, and I'll describe the sachet bag when I'm done with the garlic butter. I just wanted you to know what I'm doing with the stems. Total utilization of product. The stems will flavor the sauce, and so will the garlic butter at the end. If you want to use this particular recipe for, say, coq au vin chicken, replace, or pork shanks, instead of beef stock for coq au vin, you'd use chicken stock. Everything else is the same. If you wanted to make braised pork shanks, I would use chicken stock instead of beef stock. And you could put white wine in it as opposed to red wine. So the wines are interchangeable. The basis of the recipe is the same. So you can do a lot of different things with this particular recipe. And I'm pretty sure I have a braised item in my cookbook that's very versatile. It's a compound butter. You can make a maitre d' butter, just shallots instead of garlic. With this one, you can finish steaks with it. You can finish chicken with it. I always start with the end in mind. I already know I'm gonna display oxtails on this dish. I know my garnish is just gonna be a little bit of our tomato, fresh tomato from my garden, a little bit of flat parsley from my garden, because you're gonna have white and then you're gonna have brown, and the red and the green will just pop it out and make it look nice and also taste nice, because the tomatoes have a nice acid even though there's tomatoes in the sauce, and the parsley has good chlorophyll. That chlorophyll brings out the flavor in your dish. This is the end result of braising the oxtails. When you braise something, you always want it to sit overnight in the sauce, because when you braise, the liquid in the meat leaches out, and you let it rest overnight and it sucks it back up. Either serve a dried piece of braised meat or serve a moist piece of braised meat the next day. It's your choice. I prefer moist. Since this is done, you see the layer of fat that is on that. That's from not only the olive oil that I seared in, but the oxtails. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel that off as much as I possibly can. That fat is not a very good mouthfeel. While fat is flavor, it doesn't feel good on the tongue. I'm also going to pull out my sachet bag. But look at that, look at that. You squeeze that out. Look at all that juice. That's all flavor. I have my flat leaf parsley in a bowl. You can use curly leaf parsley. We're going to add our garlic. This is our compound butter, And again, this is very versatile. You can add dill to this, take the garlic out, add shallots. I mean, the only limitation is your own imagination. But these are the basic ingredients. So I'm rolling the lemon to get all the juices out of it. Okay? Put your hand here, squeeze, and you get the seeds. Now I always turn my citrus inside out. Look at all that juice that's coming out. You get all that juice. Now, if I was making something with lemon zest, I would have zested this before I added the lemons. A little white wine. For cooking, box wine's fine. You know, I'm using box red wine for the braise. That's fine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to mix this up. You don't want to add any salt and pepper to this. No salt and pepper. Because you're seasoning everything else, and you're using this as a flavoring agent. That's why I only use unsalted butter, because you want to be able to add, because you can never subtract, not unless you bastardize the thing and add cream and more butter. Smell that.
Ooh-wee.
That's good stuff. That's our garlic butter. So start with the end in mind. That's what we're going to finish the sauce with. Now to our sachet bag. So this is a piece of fine cloth. Cheesecloth you can use. This I've used for a number of things, straining coffee. You can see it's just like a little mesh bag or a mesh cloth. This is better than cheesecloth because I can reuse it for certain applications. So what we have, a sachet, is parsley stems, fresh thyme, bay leaves, and peppercorns. That's all it is, and this just adds flavor to whatever product you're cooking. And you saw the reason why I have a sachet bag is because I can remove all of these ingredients at once after it's cooked. You saw that from the end product. Hey, it's all coming together, right?
There we go.
So you just tie that sucker up, and your sachet bag is ready to roll. Okay? Boom. Now, for our anchovy pastes. You need to chop it up a little bit more. I'm just going to use this part of my knife, and now I'm just going to roll it. See that? See how it's becoming a paste? As a paste, it melts better and quicker into your oil when you're ready for that. Now, you can buy anchovy paste. I've found that it just doesn't, it's not the same as like the fillets made into a paste. And the knife, a little lemon on that.
You're neutralizing the anchovy?
Neutralizing the anchovy. Just wipe that off. There you go. Because we're going to flip it over, and I don't want your other cutting board smelling like anchovy. We'll flip it over. This is seasoned flour. Okay, it's just salt and pepper. Whenever you do a braised dish and you're using flour, you always want to have salt and pepper in there because it's seasoned. You want everything seasoned, because ultimately it seasons the sauce. Do I have to use flour? Well, the flour helps not only flavor and brown the meat, but it also helps thicken the sauce. And if you have somebody that has a gluten allergy, almond flour is fine. Any other type of flour you can use, and you'll have basically the same effect. So this is seasoned with salt and pepper, a good amount of salt and pepper actually. Bring this in, we're going to heat it up. mirepoix is just carrots, onions, and celery. Tomato paste. You're going to add your red wine. Be generous. Diced tomatoes. Unsalted beef broth of any kind. Add my sachet. Oxtails are cooked, and we've taken some of the fat off because you don't want that greasy feeling, and you're adding butter, don't forget. You're going to take this, put that down there, and what that's doing is absorbing the excess fat. I was looking for a way to save money. I always believe in natural reduction for my sauces because it's a lot more flavorful than adding a roux, which is flour and butter cooked, or a beurre manier, which is flour and butter raw. Different percentages of cooked roux to the beurre manier. Actually, one of my sous chefs came up with the idea to puree the vegetables in the sauce. That not only adds more flavor, but it also helps to thicken the sauce. Not only 1.5 times the amount of sauce, because we pureed the vegetables as opposed to just straining them out and throwing them away, and it was more flavorful. So it was more sauce, more flavorful, because we're not having to reduce it down. That's just a win-win situation. You've pureed your vegetables, you still have chunks of them. The French love to have a smooth sauce. So we're gonna strain this out. So now I don't have to reduce my sauce, and I've added a ton of flavor, pureeing the mirepoix, the carrots, onions, celery, garlic. That's why you take out the sachet bag beforehand. It makes it easier. Oxtails, oxtails. We all scream for oxtails. Softened garlic butter. Remember, everything is better with butter. I'm gonna add a little salt, a little pepper. Okay, you see how nice and thick that is? So the butter and the puree made that happen. It coats the spoon. French call that nappé. And there you have braised oxtails. I am strategic restaurant advisors. I can help with anything. P&Ls, organization, menu development, recipe development. Been in the business for 40 years. Executive chef, food and beverage director, culinary instructor, chef garde-manger at the Willard Intercontinental in DC. Been around a while. Opened up a dozen restaurants in my lifetime. Last one was Fat Hen, which my wife and I owned. It was Low Country French.